How do you know who is and who is not a true and reliable, a dependable friend? Or better said, a potential friend. How do we tell the difference? People all around us, we don't know these people. Some of them are friendly, some of them are not friendly. How do you tell? You know, the problem with those of us with Asperger syndrome is it seems that we just don't have that innate ability to tell the difference between people who are potentially good friends and potentially fake friends. And as a result of that, we don't actually become friends. Well, we become friends to these individuals who are not friends with us, and it doesn't end well. Often it ends in disaster. So how do we tell the difference? Well, here are 4 things that will help us avoid those fake friendships. I call it the fake friendship trap. I'm pushing 70 years old, and during my lifetime, I have learned a thing or two, and what I've learned, I want to share that with you. I've been through whatever you're going through, or that is to say, I've been through that stage of life, whether you're a young person, middle-aged, older adult, wherever you happen to be, I've been there. And I've had Asperger syndrome since day one. I just want to share some of my experiences, some of the things that I have learned with you. Maybe it'll help you. All right, number 1 is this. It is not what it seems. Now that should be obvious, right? And to neurotypical people, it usually is obvious. But things are not always the way it seems. Now, being people with Asperger syndrome, we tend to categorize things and we make them, well, oversimplified. We like everything to be neat and orderly and in a row where we can depend on it with no surprises. We don't like busyness. We want it neat and orderly. Okay, in a neat and orderly world, people who are friendly are potential friends, and people who are not friendly are not potential friends. How could it be any more simple? Well, it can't be, and that's the problem. That's too simple. Fact of the matter is, it's not always what it seems. Sometimes the people who are not friendly turn out to be our best friends. Sometimes the people who come across as friendly or present, to use the term psychologists use, present as friendly, it's fake. It's a put on. They're intentionally trying to trick us. Now, I recall, as I'm sure many of you do, being in school. And I remember some of those mean teachers. These were not my friends, or that's the way I thought, but it turns out sometimes the meanest teachers were the best teachers. They had our best interest, that is the student's best interest in mind, and to get across the lesson, they understood they had to keep order in the classroom, and they did. And if we weren't happy about it, that was not an issue with them. Their issue was to get us quiet, to get us attentive so we could absorb what they were teaching. So to an Aspie, we would say that teacher, well, to most everybody, would say that teacher was mean, not our friend. But ultimately, yeah, they were friends. Things are not always the way they seem. Number 2 is this. Nobody is perfect. Yeah, I've been around nearly 70 years. I have yet to meet the perfect person. I see this guy in the mirror every morning when I shave, and I see imperfections. Can't even look at myself without seeing imperfections. We are all imperfect. There's nearly 8 billion of us on the planet right now. We're all imperfect. So we need to understand that when we're trying to sort out who is and who is not a reliable friend, that we're not going to find that person who is perfect. There was a philosopher, his name is Arthur Schopenhauer. He lived in the 19th century, and he pondered this idea of acquiring a true friend, and he came to the conclusion that, the ideal friend is not there. No, obviously, I'm paraphrasing. First of all, he spoke German, but that was his conclusion. There is no perfect friend. Now, on the spectrum of friendship, there are people who are much better friends, obviously, than others. There are some who are friends, some who are good friends, there are some who are enemies, there are some who are bad enemies. But everybody is on the spectrum, and there is no absolute perfect. So the reason I say that is as we go through life and we're trying to find that one person that we can rely on, we need to be careful that we don't try to find out that perfect person, because we will always be disappointed. We will always wind up being hurt uselessly without cause. And it's really, we are hurting ourselves because we had expected somebody to be perfect and they weren't, and we were oh so disappointed. And I can't begin to tell you how many times I have made that mistake in my life where I was too disappointed in somebody because I was too anticipatory in what I expected of them. So that's number 2. No one is perfect. So it's good to know that no one is perfect. So what do we do with that? Well, it is impossible to sort through those who comprise our milieu, that is, our social surroundings, our social environment. But we can identify those who are likely to be reliable friends. We can identify those who are not likely to be good friends. And again, nobody is perfect, and we're not always going to get it perfect, but we can improve substantially, and that takes us to number 3. Character trumps credentials. Now, you have heard the parable of the Good Samaritan. The Samaritans were an ethnic group that lived in Palestine about 2,000 years ago. And they still live there. There's still a small community of Samaritans in that area. Other people saw the Samaritans as bad people. We would say they were uncredentialed. They were unacceptable because they were half-breeds. And what's more, they had a religion that was not really acceptable to everyone else's religion. So they were flat out rejected as heretics. All right, so there was this Samaritan. And he was taking a journey, he was taking a trip, as they did back in those days. They pretty much walked wherever they went. They would have maybe a caravan, a mule, or a camel, whatever. And as he was traveling, he came across another traveler who had been attacked, severely beaten, laying on the side of the road, I guess in a ditch or whatever, bloodied and bruised and maybe near death, and somebody had robbed him and taken all of his goods. And the Samaritan stopped to help him and took care of him. So the question is, who is the good friend? The people who were credentialed, who religiously agreed with the guy who was wounded? The credentialed people who had ethnic identity with the person who was wounded? Or was it the person who helped the person who was wounded? And obviously the answer is the person who helped. That was the true friend. So what is the lesson we learn from that? Well, what we learn from it is this. Observe how people treat others. Not how they treat you, but how they treat others. I mean, what do we call these people? Fair weather friends? When all is going well, they're right there for us. But when things are not going well, they're nowhere to be found. And things are going well. So how do you tell? You observe how people treat other people who are not in your situation or who are in a worse situation. So that is the lesson, which is, quite frankly, very profound if you stop and think about it, that if you see another individual who is very kind to you and friendly, so you say, well, he's friendly or she is friendly, therefore she is a potential friend, but that potential friend is not treating others well, maybe most people, but some people not so good, that's a red flag. That tells you that as this person abuses other people, this person, this candidate for friendship, will likely abuse you as well when circumstances present themselves to their advantage. Red flag, okay, that's a big red flag. So just because somebody is friendly to you Doesn't mean they're not a good friend. Doesn't mean they are a good friend. Basically, it means nothing. But how they treat other people, that means everything. So when you're sorting out friends from non-friends, look for those good Samaritans because, yes, they are out there. So number 4 is this. And this, I think, is very profound. And that is, this is counterintuitive, so it's not going to make sense at first. But a true friend is one who will hurt you to heal you. Now, that last part, that last prepositional phrase, to heal you, that is very important. But at first thought, okay, somebody is going to hurt me and they're a friend, or you... No, that doesn't seem right. But wait a minute. There is a saying, blessed are the wounds of a friend. Somebody cuts me and slashes me, I don't think that's a friend until you stop and think, now wait a minute. I'm trying to think of the people in my life who physically, literally have cut and slashed me. And I can think of 3. The first one was a heart surgeon. The second one was a brain surgeon. And the other, I forget what they call him, but I had a rotator cuff injury and he cut my shoulder. I forget what you call people who do that. Were those my friends? Well, the quotation again is, the saying again is, blessed are the wounds of a friend. Yes, they did cut me. Yes, it did hurt. Believe me, it hurt. You ever had heart surgery? Those weeks, days immediately following, one thing you absolutely do not want to do is cough. The pain is severe. When I had shoulder surgery, the pain in my hand was almost unbearable. Those people hurt me. Blessed are the wounds of a friend because they cut me because they were trying to help me. So when you are looking for a friend, don't look for somebody who will never hurt you, but look for somebody who will hurt you if their true, genuine goal is to help you. All right, so how do you tell who is a surgeon and who is a thug with a knife who just wants to slash so he can hurt you for the sheer joy of hurting you and take advantage of you? Well, here's a couple points. First of all, a true friend will apply emotional anesthesia. That is to say, he or she will try to minimize the pain as much as possible, while the criminal will try to cause as much pain as possible. So every time I went into surgery, before they began to cut on me, they made sure the pain was minimized. They gave me anesthesia. Second, a true friend will cut no more than is absolutely necessary. That is to say, a true friend will say what you need to hear, and they won't say any more. They won't belittle you. They won't upbraid you. They will not do anything just to cause pain. Now they're going to cut on you. They're going to tell you what you need to hear. But the fake friend, he will slash you with words that are hurtful just because he likes to hurt. So there is this saying out there, it's called tough love. And sometimes the criminal will say, I'm slashing you because I love you. It's called tough love. No, they're just lying. It just makes them feel good about cutting you and try to make you feel good about letting them cut you. So we need to understand that a true friend will say no more, no less than what you absolutely need to hear. When I had heart surgery, they cut exactly what needed to be cut and no more. When I had brain surgery, they literally cut a hole in my head. You may be able to see the indentation that is left here in my temple. But they didn't cut things that didn't need to be cut just to be cutting them precisely and, yeah, with precision. With precision. They cut only what needs to be cut. And so a true friend will say words that are hurtful. But that's it. That's how you can tell the difference. Number 3 is this. A true friend, like a good doctor. This is number 3 of number 4, if that makes sense. A true friend, like a good doctor, will focus on restoring you to good health. That's the objective. Blessed are the wounds of a friend when the end objective is to restore you to good health. The wounds of an enemy, the objective is to take advantage of you. Some people just enjoy hurting people. That's their reward. They just like to cut and slash. Some people like to wound you so they can take further advantage of you. Psychopaths will do that, but anybody who is not a true friend and just enjoys taking things from others, we're thinking here, narcissist, will do that. When looking for a friend you can trust, rather than seek out those who will never, ever, ever hurt you, but rather seek out those who will only hurt you when it is in their, or your rather, best interests. So again, observe how they treat those around them. The way that they treat others is the test of how they will ultimately treat you. Covert narcissists, and this is so important, are very proficient in faking friendships. So all of us, I think have been fooled by them at least once. Most of us have been fooled by narcissists multiple times. But there are always telltale dangers. There are always danger signs. There are always red flags that we need to observe. So rather than focus on how they treat you, take notice of how they treat others with the understanding that eventually that's how they're going to treat you in the future.